The way that the how did we get here question that is so often asked is, I say there was three revolutions. There was a cultural revolution, there was a technological revolution, and there was a legal revolution. And you're exactly right. Children are the forgotten victims of all three revolutions. The cultural revolution was that sexual autonomy, the liberation from these patriarchal expectations that sex belonged in marriage. Well, guess what? Children are the victims.
Also, historic Christian expectations and historic Jewish expectations that were the framework of Western civilization.
Yes. The technological revolution that you identified, where the pill separated sex from babies, and then IVF that separated babies from sex. Children are the constant losers of separating sex from babies and babies from sex. And then there was the legal revolution, where we redefined the most child-friendly institution the world has ever known and transformed it into a vehicle of adult fulfillment. The first wave of that was not gay marriage. It was no-fault divorce. No-fault divorce, which I would say probably is Ronald Reagan's largest regret. When he passed the first no-fault divorce law in California in 1969, we removed permanence, that expectation of permanence from the marital relationship. And we said, well, if you're no longer happy being in a marriage, it can cease to be a marriage. And then the gays are like, great. If marriage is just a vehicle of adult fulfillment, let's remove the complementarity of marriage, because that's what it takes to make me happy. And now we've got the polycules that are saying, well, if marriage is just a vehicle of adult fulfillment, if it doesn't have anything to do with kids, which clearly it doesn't, let's remove the expectation of monogamy from marriage. And so all three of these revolutions
throughout human history, number has been a far less significant figure than gender.
Yeah, that's right.
So in other words, we've had polygamy and all kinds of things. What we haven't had is the abdication or rejection of the conjugal union.
We at Them Before Us, we spend a lot of time critiquing no-fault divorce because it deserves massive condemnation. It has wrecked a generation of children. But from a legal perspective, it did not upend the solar system of family law in the same way that Obergefell did. Obergefell put right at the center of the universe, squarely, adult validation and identity as the highest value. And when
because that is what Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote as the moral impulse of his majority opinion.
Right.
It was his sense of self in the universe.
When adult sexual autonomy is God, children are the required sacrifice. Those two things are hand in hand. They go together. You see that in every sense, right? So that's what we're at the Greater Than campaign. We're just saying, no. Like, your adult equality should not override the fundamental rights of children. Their rights to their own mother and father are greater than whatever validation or agenda or autonomy that you feel like you deserve and that you need some kind of state-sanctioned, court-validated affirmation. No. Children's right to their own mother and father are greater than your supposed equality. And that is the